like what's the tangibles? I've been invited into buildings. I've sat and looked at their data when they're doing this, like for reading intervention and stuff. So I've seen some of that, but that doesn't speak to all of what's happening.
Right.
So that might be nice to know.
And do you think some of this is a reflection, Lara, of our data meeting that we had around iReady? Like, I'm wondering if there's a tie there.
Sorry, that's coming next month.
Okay.
You guys want some iReady? You had asked about that, and she had some good questions about it too, so.
Because it seemed like people were reporting that that was really moving the needle for kids.
Right.
So for you, Lara, what I think I'm hearing is maybe bring in some other pieces at the same time with this to go,
Yes.
hey, we did these things and we think this is the causation and maybe correlation to why we saw these numbers move.
Right, because the other thing for me, if we're looking at data, this is siloed for me, and I would hope it's siloed for board members, because we haven't seen state assessment data yet, and so I feel like here's some good stuff, and I'm not saying it's not. I'm not trying to be critical, but we haven't looked at growing our students across and seeing that data. So
Right.
for me, I need to see like that kind of whole thing, and I know other board members don't want to necessarily maybe go to the depth that we've done before in data, but it's really helpful to see. That's what we're educationally here for.
Sure.
Is that growth. Or if there's not, what else does the district need from the board so that we are meeting those needs?
You know, Lara, think about kind of the natural way that you see some of this. And I wonder, as we look at data intentionally the next couple of months and we figure out all of the pieces that maybe we haven't seen before, and then really looking at, is there a schedule that we can put this data on that makes a lot of sense for the district and for us as board members? Like, how do we do that together? Because I appreciate seeing data instead of just seeing none. So like, where is the thoughtful, strategic way that we can do this, that we can, empower and equip him to start to put together a flow for us? What are other thoughts on that, you guys?
Well, I'll tack onto that and just ask Lara a question. So because my thoughts are, if we're wanting to look at growth over time, you want to see like state assessment, because it's such a big picture. So say we look at third grade over a span of years for reading and math, would you want to see like what that looked like? Although that's a different group of kids.
I'd want to see the whole, like when our state data has been presented to us as a whole package to know, so that we can be informed to help drive whatever's needed.
Okay.
So when we hear certain things or we're told certain things, but right now it's sliced into these pockets. And so we're not seeing the full picture of what else is going well and what else is needed, because there's always going to be both.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure we're positioning the district and the teachers and the students with the tools they need. Because now we have the curriculum in a really good place.
Yeah, no doubt. What I'd like to do is get on a rotation where meaningful data is brought to you on a month-to-month basis, but you could also request information. So here's an example. If you knew iReady was coming next month, and because I'm telling you, iReady's coming next month, and then you're able to know that's coming, but something else spikes your interest, or you start to think about something else, like state assessment data. I think the scores for that came in
June.
April,
June.
June-ish, okay, later than I thought of. Because I think the more transparent we can be, the better. But I'm glad that it's been shown to you the way that I would show it to you. Like I'd show you, here's our students, here's how many we had at level 1, here's at level 2, level 3, level 4. Because that's the way I feel like we would benefit most from that.
But we haven't seen that this year yet.
No, you haven't, but you guys
I need to.
Yeah, you want to see that?
I appreciate all of that. And I think for me, when I look at this particular piece of data that Cody showed us, this is teachers' interpretation of how things are going. And so, would we like to see all of our teachers participate in these surveys? Yes, and I think that's something that we can request is, can we have all of our staff? But these numbers are still moving in a good direction because staff feels like, hey, we're doing things that are making a difference for kids. Then you do want to lay that up, of course, next to achievement scores and kind of look at certain groups. But this is encouraging for me because I think
Some of it is, yeah. And we need to get a good, when I say baseline, I mean like, if we're wanting to use CKH, then we need to gather good data
We need
on
to get good
CKH.
data.
We do, and I think I can do that, but if we want to use it because we spend finances on it, then we need to have good data that show the board it's working, to show our patrons it's working. And I feel the same way about anything we put finances towards. iReady, and I agree with the state assessment. Yeah, I can get that for you.
How long have we been using this CKH?
It was here when I was principal
10
at Lincoln.
years.
Yeah,
We should be used to it.
I'm going to training tomorrow, the next day.
Just a thought, just for feedback, as a parent, the CKH data as a parent has a lot of question marks for me because it's asking me things that I have no idea about. I don't know if they're doing social contracts in the classroom. I don't know if they're being greeted. And so this other piece of data that now I'm remembering as a parent, there's different surveys that come. And so maybe we don't do the CKH for the parents, but we might look and see what questions are important, because the questions that are important for me as a parent are, when I call the school, I'm greeted in a friendly tone. And that is true. Like, we want to know that, like, what's our parent engagement and interaction with our staff like? But then a lot of those things at CKH, I have no idea. And probably for a grade school, maybe parents do, but for our high school kids, like, I don't know. So just some thoughts, Cody.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I appreciate you getting this data together for us.
Yeah.
And I think as we look at this data and we have really good questions and even like wonders, it'll help us get better at becoming just more in tune with what the information we're collecting from our people is saying.
I'll probably learn more than any of it.
It's great. We all are. Any other thoughts, friends?
Well, that's why I think seeing the student assessment data is key, because if that's improving every year, that speaks to this.
So maybe
If
see
there's a
that
disconnect
before.
between those two sources of information, then we gotta figure out what's going on.
Yeah, we're looking at the way teachers are experiencing this and then seeing how that's really, the hard part is that I think we're doing state assessments differently than we did. And so really our scores are gonna, we have some time to build a new story because of the way that we just started doing state testing again. So I don't know if we can look at the last 5 years and really get a clear picture. Lara, what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah, no, I think we just take June's data and we have a team that comes in and shares that so that we can ask meaningful questions and make sure whatever the gaps are that we know, and we can then
Start going from there.
right.
I like that. And I know that, I think it was maybe Dr. Vanderhoof was saying that she didn't always appreciate FastBridge and our progress monitors, but I do think let's keep those in mind too, because those can show us good instruction and good learning. And what I mean by that is there are different growth monitors that I can run within FastBridge that'll show you how much a student gains within a year. So when they're in a 4th grade classroom, you can pop a number like a 1.5, and a 1.5 is really, really good because that means a kid's gaining a year and a half worth of education. And that's not just a school year, because school year is only 9 months, so it's actually a
Accelerate.
lot, almost 2 school years.
Yeah.
So there are lots of good things we can bring to you. So that's maybe me sounding like I'm making excuses about state assessments, but there is a lot of good things. State assessments can guide us, and we want to do well on those scores, but I wouldn't put all the eggs in that basket either. There's a lot of other good things happening. So iReady would be an example, Fastbridge, Lexia. There's lots of ways we monitor kids' growth. Good. I had one more thing I wanted to show you during my report, and it's kind of chicken scratches, but I'm sorry it's so small too. Okay, so transload. I had written about this, and I'm bringing this up because I want you to know that a lot of thought went into this. So, hence my chicken scratches below the graphic. So that's the middle school. Okay, the east side is Park Drive, and if we do the bus transload on there with the buses facing south, it's 4 buses. The kids will be able to get out safely on the grass side. We're going to paint the curb. We're going to put signage up there that there's no parking during the bus, during the transload times, and they'll be on there. I think it's, I can butcher this, I have it written down, 7:15 to 7:25 a.m. And then 3:25 to 3:35 p.m. And I've said probably 2 years, but it could be 1 if it may be shorter than that if it goes really bad. We've got to find a different place for it. We honestly can't find anywhere else that would even work. None of the elementaries would be not a good place to be. We've got we've got staff that'll be out there. I think the principal even talked about being out there most days, but she'll make sure staff's out there. She's already talked to Bill about this, so I called Andrea today to get specifics on this. I have talked to the city and got ideas from them. They had ideas of some other locations. The only problem with that is legally you have to have a staff member there to make sure that, we could drive somebody over to the city water park, but I don't know if that's really feasible to do every day. We're going to try to avoid Elizabeth Street, which is the front of the building. So they're going to come in from, Bill, am I making that up? Or would they come from over by where Quick Shop is right now, park, instead of even going in front? They'll just avoid that altogether.
They do that as if they're loading or but typically we've changed all of our activities to the east side as well.
Yeah. The other thing I like about this, because I can speak to experience about this, if they're trying to avoid traffic and they're heading out of the south side of town, they can just take a park around over by Wall Park and take it out that way, because that's the way my bus driver would drive when they were heading back to 423. So I think this is our best bet. We have it set up. We've communicated to everybody. Parents have been communicated to. Then it brings me to, I had a board member bring up traffic study and a traffic flow study. I like that idea. I think it goes a little step further. We may want to involve the city because Eisenhower will be going from about 200 students to 450 for more if we have growth. So in 28, is that right? 28, 29?
So we used to transload that
Okay.
years ago.
Is it, I'm going to throw a question out there because I didn't know that happened. Is it too far out for the people going south?
It was more convenient for staff that had children. That was one of the reasons. And so we changed it to high school. Plus, the main thing was that we changed times in the district for starting and ending times. And this became the most feasible for transload due to those times. And we've now, because of times again, and because of what we're doing with consolidation, that's why we've chosen this as what we believe is the best option.
So I've talked with 3 people that pretty knowledgeable people. You got Wayne Burns, Austin Regier, Eric Dirksen. And so it's on their radar. They've got some ideas for out by Eisenhower or the new middle school for what the city is looking to do to help with traffic flow out that direction. So any questions, comments on this? Anything you want to see? Anything you want me to gather?
I know as a best parent, I got information from the district about this, and it was very clear and laid out. And so I think, you know, as a family, we feel informed about the change. So that came out last week. So, you know, if we haven't, that would be my only wonder is there a way to, and I think for me, like, I never really thought about where the kids were transloading at when I sent my kids on the bus. So I don't know if that's an important thing to reiterate to families again, hey, we've had some changes. And then my only other question would be, will we have maybe the city police kind of
Oh, that's a good idea.
like looking at that area for a minute just to make sure, because people sometimes get used to parking there that might live across the street in one of those houses, just to make sure that when we kick off school that we've got
Yeah.
making sure that cars aren't there overnight,
There's all-
because
actually,
that's gonna put a hiccup in
In
the whole
this
thing.
picture, I think there was a car right there. They for some reason, they like the corners. They like there and they like there. You see that there's a truck right there too.
Yeah.
That red truck that's always parked.
So again, I think if you have cones and signs out there, that's gonna be really helpful, but then also, we might need some enforcement in the beginning, just to help people really understand, hey, this is new behavior here.
So believe it or not, Blaine and I just had a conversation.
Did you?
And I apologize, we're a little bit late getting that information.
They were so helpful.
So I've already reached out to our patrol captain, at least for Lincoln. So normally I would do it in the first week, but I have trainings to line up. But we are going to have patrol unit, maybe one or two, in the area of Lincoln, because Lincoln's going to have that huge influx of parents and students and everything. So I'm just worried about the heavy traffic flow. So we already have that in place, at least for extra law enforcement there. But most of the time, like Beam and Trog, they're really good too, to try to nip things in the bud right away within the first 2 weeks to try to get the bad eggs who aren't following the rules or not driving properly to get them reported, because we want to get that bad behavior addressed immediately, because all it takes is that one car to mess up the whole line. So trying to get that good habit done within the first 2-3 weeks of school, like they're good about getting a hold of me or patrol or the SROs at the middle school or high school. And at the middle school and high school, both of our SROs are usually out in the morning or right after school anyways. So we're trying to be on it.
Because we'd hate to have to tow somebody's car, but that might be what has to happen.
At middle school, the only thing that's going to help us is so long as you guys at least get the signage and paint and everything up
Yeah.
first right away, then we can address it. And if anything too, we can share anything that the school puts out to say, hey, these are changes that we're making over at the middle school. Please be aware, take a photo and share that out. Say, hey,
Really?
this is an update.
Blaine, it was hard for me to believe, but I'm going to believe Inga and Andrea. They say nobody's there at 7:15 to 7:25. You telling me no teachers or anything park over on that side?
In
It's
terms
more
of that side,
residents.
it's not usually, no.
I just can't believe that.
Now, a lot more times, people who are parked over there are going to be people who live alongside.
It's
that road.
residents.
That's
Now that you say that, I don't ever see anybody.
because most teachers, they usually pack it up pretty well, kind of on the other sides.
And they've worked on parking
Yeah.
around that, specifically on Hardup and in front, you can park more and around back.
I mean, there might be maybe some like coaches or teachers substitutes maybe that park on that side, but for the most part, usually throughout the day, there's a little, because I know because I steal them, there's usually little pocket spots that come available just on the other sides.
Okay.
So usually there's just enough parking.
So the kids who are biking in, this new plan doesn't impact those, the flow for those kids so that they're not gonna be in the way, right?
It shouldn't be, because they'll all be parking in front.
These are big
The
buses.
further they can stay that way, the better, because I know it gets chaotic the other way.
Well, and what time
My
is-
small knowledge.
What time does breakfast start at the middle school? You know?
They usually let them in around like 7:40, I think.
So most of our bike kids are gonna be showing up between 7:30, I would think, and 7:40. So hopefully 7:25, our buses are out of there. Because you can't get in the building until then, so. Nice work on this, Cody, tell your team.
Well, there's been a lot of
I know
people-
this has been a lot of investing.
I'm impressed with, I reached out to the city about this too, and they had tons of ideas. Like they were saying we could use the park, we could use the water park parking, like, they said Wall Park, where Wall Park has, actually, I think I told Bill that. They have the almost exact same inlets at Wall Park on both sides. So that'd be a great place to use if we ever needed to.
I will say that spot will be fine so long as, are you guys currently in the progress of getting signs up and everything?
I think he was over there today.
So actually, you know, the amount of change we're dealing with is huge this year, but Andrea and Rod and I met on that side of the building, and we've also conferred with Cody on this, but I'm hoping to have paint and signs up really.
Okay.
So that'll hit just in time for our school, but I think
Okay.
The end of this week, Bill, we should have signs and paint up.
that's my hope, and in addition, just to speak to it, the signage will say bus parking only from this time to this time. So
The
that it
two
will be
gaps.
available for other.
It'd be like
parking.
7:25 to 7:35 and 3:25 to.
So like 7 a.m. to 7:30.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact,
Great,
but yes,
okay.
it'll just block out those certain times. That way the public still has access, or if we're doing other things in that area,
We need space for 4 buses.
we have more space than we need. So even if we have some incidents where parents are parking inappropriately or something, we should be able
get
to
around it.
still work around that and
Great.
have time to talk with them.
50 feet. But I think communication's been pretty good. Anyways, that's it for me.
That's it for you?
Yep.
Okay, great. So now we move to 5.2, which is updated job descriptions. And I am looking for a motion to approve the job descriptions as presented.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
And because we tasked our superintendent with this and to bring it back to us for our approval, there won't be discussion. And so I need a vote. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Any opposed?
Yes.
That passes 6-1. And now we move to 5.3. So motion to approve costs which will not exceed $200,000 for our Eisenhower Elementary Playground relocation to Washington Elementary.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, yes.
Any opposed? Passes 7-1.
Can I take a pause there real quick? Was that Perry and Blaine? Is that we?
Doing great,
doing
Ty.
real time.
You're doing great, Ty.
He was nervous.
Gonna make
They
it.
warned us. Oh man, I just lights my whole screen up. Okay. So now we are on to treasurer's report. No, sorry. Where am I at? Okay. Routine items. Yes.
Is it appropriate for me to chime in here?
Yeah.
I remember
please.
okay, people were waiting for me last time.
Yep,
I just kind
yep.
of stared at you guys. So I'm actually ready to talk this time. So, so we'll start first. There's 2 things I want to talk about. I want to look at, the comparison. So if you look at your comparison, I'm not going to go into great detail, but what I do is I kind of red flag things or ask questions on things. I'm sure yours are the same questions as mine. I want to be very careful with this because these numbers are based off of last year's budget because our budget this year has not been published. So this is all going to change, but it still gives us good data. It still gives us good numbers. And so what I mean by that is it's just going to change a little bit. So one of the things that caught my attention right away would have been the supplemental general fund is 10% more used or 10% lower. And the reason why that happened is the same reason to my second question that I had, which is special ed is 14% more used at this point. And the reason why that is special ed, the assessment of special education co-ops have gone from 2 to 3. And so that first payment has happened where last year it did not. And so it's just at a different time, if that makes sense. So it'll be more spread out as opposed to not. So the 84 looks a little bit lower because special ed payment, it went from 2 to 3. So we have one more of those this year. There was one other thing that I felt like I saw on here. surprised nobody said anything to me about it. The bond and interest, you'll see is negative. Once our budget is published, that'll reflect not negative, nothing like that. So, other than that, pretty much spot on across the board. So, and I know you guys don't want to be sideswiped. I don't envision that this year, but we're gonna keep a real close eye on this as we work through the year, just based on the projections. Any questions on that? I had another question about, which ties in perfect to our, what I'm looking, with the Eisenhower playground moving. And it's a sheet that Nikki's been working on, running past Ty and I. And I got a question from one of the board members about how much interest that we had made thus far. And that number is reflected right here. I said 350, but I was wrong, Perry. It's about 341,234.52 cents of interest thus far, which is a great question. So this is a sheet that Nikki and I are fine tuning before we start spending bond funds, and then you can help us keep a close eye on this as we work through it. They did something very similar in Derby, where our auditor and John Regier said this looks really good, and this should be a great way of keeping you updated. So,
And so maybe that can be included in routine items once we start going, Cody, so that we can look at it ahead of time. And
I didn't even ask her if I could show this to you today, but I thought it would be good to let you know what we've been
that's
working on.
great.
So,
And that'll just help us because people have lots of questions, as they should. And
well, especially now since we're starting to spend a little
Yeah.
bit out of that. So,
and I know that this will help us have answers.
and then I had already told you about the icon bills. That were it's about $35,000. I am tempted. I don't know if that needs board approval, Ty, or if just me letting you know that we're going to start with bond and keep an eye on the elementary budgets as time goes on.
But those are things that we approved spending on to get our
Yeah,
fire alarms and systems.
$180,000. Yep. And so I'm starting to get those invoices, and Nikki's asking me, and I'm tempted to say, let's go with bond right now, and monitor that the only thing that makes me nervous about that is the elementary budget's so much smaller than the middle and high school, because they're getting a lot of new stuff. So the way I can counteract that is we may have to spend some capital funds towards the end of the year on elementary schools more than we're used to, but as long as I'm letting you know.
Which we talked about, temporary things or not being consumed out of bond funds, and those were ones that needed to come out of us instead. So I want to keep a mindful eye on that as well.
Good idea. Yep. I think all of these were these all permanent, Bill? The changes made at the elementary schools?
The only one that wasn't was the office and conference area at Lincoln.
Okay.
Everything else should be all right.
And we talked that it could be
could
permanent
be
if we
permanent.
decide to leave it, but it's in the air right now.
We better be safe.
Permanent. It
We
looks
don't want
Yeah.
So
office and conference area at the LES, if we wanted to pull that, do that out of cap.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's not a horrible idea, just to be safe. That wasn't one of the bills, or maybe it was. I'll have to look over it with you. Let's keep an eye on that. That's good input.
But you can always transfer.
Good. Yeah. I just want to be very
So if it stays permanent, Perry, we have the opportunity to transfer it later.
Sure.
Okay, great. Because I love that, Chelsea, that
That
you
would
want
just come
to-
back to the board for that approval.
It's a good idea.
That's
Any
good.
questions on this? I knew a little bit more this time. Anything that you caught that you want me to keep an eye on?
Bills looked good, which is a general month. There's not as much going on when you're looking at July bills, but
Just, I always have questions about P cards. We just be mindful of what we're spending. We're using taxpayer funds. I love celebrating our teachers and our staff and welcoming back, but let's make sure we're being realistic on our purchases. So,
Never a bad reminder.
So I think now we move to a motion to approve routine items.
So moved.
Chelsea, so moved. Maybe a second?
Second.
Jeff, seconds. All in favor?
Yes,
Yeah.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. And then our conclusion of meeting items, future meeting suggestions. I know that we've done this different ways. Do we not even typically read that, Lara? Do we just leave that quiet, or do we say something to our group?
There can be to the discretion of the, if the superintendent says, oh, we're gonna look at this in the next, and then asking for other, like we talked about the state
I love
data.
that. I
you know,
do like
and
that. I really like that because I
Why?
felt like we asked but didn't always, anyway, so I love that. So any future items that the board would like to look at?
Specific data I'm gonna look at, no, plan on bringing you next month is gonna be iReady. That's what was on my list. I have down state assessment. I think it'd be good to take a broad view of that. Maybe year to year.
Community update with where we're at. I'd like to revisit that conversation of just how are we keeping everything that we've
You did ask.
been doing in front of the community,
I love
if
that.
that's town hall meetings, yeah, what's that communication, because I think we have to continue to do that in different ways. We've built a lot of synergy and momentum,
Yep.
so I think it behooves us to continue that on some levels. And there's so much happening, and they can't see it. We can't see, there's so much happening with the construction and the process.
So Lara, maybe even like the officers could meet with Cody and bring back an idea of what a town hall meeting could look like and when we could have it. Is that kind of what you're hoping?
I just think so, yeah.
It's a movement, like getting things on a calendar, like October, November, hey, we're
I
gonna
think
do a town hall meeting.
Well, and Tony's got some ideas of the scopes, like how they're gonna be posted on the website. And we were, I don't wanna say waiting, we want staff to see it Thursday, and then we'll start posting.
I think we need to push more Brooks' comment about the 3 stages
That's a-
that they've
That's
been
good,
involved. That was very helpful, the way he laid that out to me. It wouldn't be, it would be good to make sure the community hears that loud and clear.
And it might even be something if we have a community meeting that we can record it. Because a lot of people can't always get to the meetings. I mean, some people are really invested and they take the time out and they make it happen. But then also I feel like we've had some really good community meetings and community dialogue. I was like, man, I wish this was recorded. Because I do think there are some people that would watch it. Okay, great. Anything else? And then announcement, 8/2. Our first day of school is August
Next Tuesday,
17th,
no, 18th.
18th, and it is a half
Teachers
day.
come back this Thursday.
Okay, teachers come back this Thursday,
Next
school's
Tuesday's my
gonna be
favorite day
opened
of the
up,
year.
full of life.
I think those are nice things for us to see those dates lined out,
Love that.
so that we also are aware of the motion and movement throughout the year.
And even a few months at a time. would be good to
What's
see.
upcoming.
Your opening meeting with the whole staff, where do you hold that?
Yeah, that'll be this Thursday at the big auditorium, the high school.
I think it's in the, like,
Started, there'll be breakfast
Yeah.
first.
His breakfast starts at 7:30.
So it's typically shortly after 8, or as folks are wrapping that up, move to the auditorium, start the presentation.
It'll be me. We have some welcoming new staff and different things like that, and then I'll talk a little bit, and then we have Simpson and IDS will be there to give a presentation. Then we'll break off for professional development at the middle school. And then we have lunch, then we have one more rotation of professional development, and then we have the last station is more of a fun station.
Be okay for a board member to attend that IDS thing?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see that.
You come to the
So
whole
what
thing,
time
we
is
have
that?
breakfast for you too.
Never turn down.
Yeah, can you pull it up real quick, Brandy's,
They
Yeah.
don't either.
know where that, like, so I can get exact times to him. I can't think of what time it starts off top of my head. For some reason, I feel like breakfast is 7:30, like you said. So I think it moves into the auditorium around 8:15. And they're gonna go after, like, we'll have quite a few announcements, welcome back stuff, me, Ben Simpson, and IDS. So
You're gonna have an hour speech?
hour and a half. I've been told before, never talk more than 7 minutes, but it's gonna be longer than 7 minutes.
10, that'd be fine.
10.
I'm not gonna have the time. That's exact.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Friends, we have 2 executive sessions on the agenda. Do you want to break before we do that? Yeah. Great. So I have that it is 7:06. So do you guys want to meet back in here at 7:15? Is that enough time?
That works.
Great. Okay.
Do I literally just list them? That's it. Oh,
Larry, that's
like,
right. Ready?
Yep.
No, back. Refresh.
You make it a motion?
We're ready. We're ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
I move the board goes into recess to the executive session to discuss the non-elected personnel performance pursuant to the Kansas Open Meetings Act exemption for personnel matters of a non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of identifiable individual. The meeting will resume at 7:30, say 15 minutes.
Just
I
need to
think
say
he
your
did. I don't, know, is this his?
This is yours.
The meeting will include the board, the assistant superintendent, and the superintendent.
second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Carry 7-0. That's a big word, Perry.
What?
That's a big word.
I didn't know that about John Black.
Should be good with that.
Yeah, okay, great.
Surprised.
Here we go.
I didn't know that.
Okay,
All right,
friends.
okay. I move the board recess into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss matters related to employer-employee negotiations pursuant to the Kansas Open Meetings Act exception. To the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at
15 minutes, just,
7:46. The executive session is required to discuss negotiations and will include the board, the assistant superintendent, and the superintendent.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Carry 7-0. That's getting all the way.
We good?
Okay, friends, that concludes our meeting. See everybody next time.
I'll see you before we officially.
Yeah.
So.